Hey, look at these couples. Can you spot anything weird here? Seems like the only real wife is the one on the right. She looks grumpy, but she is authentically human. Meanwhile, the lady on the left must be a robot. Just look at her legs. A local bank's money was stolen right in the middle of the day. But no one noticed that. Several days later, the room where the money used to be stored was found completely empty. There was just one note saying 7718. The police arrested 3 suspects, Bill, Jeff, and Cody, but the officers didn't know which of them was guilty. They invited a famous detective to crack the mysterious case, and the detective managed to decipher the note immediately. Can you do it too? So, turn the paper upside down. This way, the numbers turn into a name, Bill. The man wants to enter an exclusive club, but he doesn't know the password. Another man walks up to the entrance. The doorman says 12, and the man says 6, and is allowed to enter. Another man approaches. The doorman says 6, the man says 3, and the doorman lets him in. Thinking he's heard enough, our guy walks to the door. When the doorman says 10, he says 5. But he isn't allowed to enter. What should he have said? Three. The correct answer is the number of letters in the word the doorman says. Martin was a robber. One day he was trying to escape from the police after robbing a bank. He had 3 gold bars in his arms, each weighing 20 pounds. Ooh. The only way to get away was to cross a bridge, which could only support 220 pounds. The 3 bars of gold weigh 60 pounds, and Martin weighed 180 pounds. Could he cross the bridge without getting rid of any of the bars? Now, Martin can't leave a bar of gold and come pick it up later, so the only solution is to make those bars fly. To make it happen, Martin must juggle them. This way, only 2 bars will add extra weight to the bridge, while the third one will always remain airborne. Voila! 180 plus 20 plus 20 equals 220, so the bridge can totally handle it. However, Martin couldn't handle it because he couldn't juggle, and the police got their man. A thief entered a high-end boutique and forced the shop assistant to open the safe. The shop assistant said, "The code for the safe is different every day, and if you harm me, you'll never get the code." But the thief managed to guess the code on his own. How did he do it? The thief was smart. The code to the safe was the word different, just as the shop assistant said. A wealthy businessman, Mr. Ben Swift, was taken away and locked up in a dark room. His phone had almost no charge. He could only send one message. He knew that someone could be spying on his phone, so he decided to send a message with a code to a high school friend, John Smith, who had a detective agency. He remembered that in high school, they would cipher messages to each other, replacing each letter with the one to the left. So he sent this. Can you guess what it means? It's not gibberish. Once you decipher it, the message reads accountant, so it seems his accountant is to blame. You're wandering through the jungle when, all of a sudden, you see a magnificent ancient castle. You enter it and see its inhabitants. It's kind of hard to say if they're friendly or not, but hey, look, they've just fetched you some snacks. Still, you can tell from their grins that these snacks might be a trap for you. You can't say no to them and need to choose something to eat. There are 4 muffins in front of you. They all look yummy and your mouth is watering. One of the inhabitants, who seems to be the leader, tells you that the first muffin has some fermented cabbage inside. The second is swarming with live ants. The third has mud instead of chocolate cream. And the fourth one has ackee fruit inside. So, which dessert should you opt for? A muffin with fermented cabbage may sound weird, but it's safe to eat. You've tried fermented cabbage, aka kimchi, before and you loved it. For those who love unusual stuff, the fourth muffin is okay too. Ackee fruit is delicious when cooked properly. As for the ants and mud muffins, I'd pass. Lucy is a nail technician. Her services are free to anyone who wants to set up an appointment. However, most people still end up paying her. How so? Lucy only does one hand for free, so most people who come end up paying the full price. They don't want to look weird with their nails done only on one hand. Poor Kathy lived with a stepmother and 3 wicked stepsisters. Her dream was to go to a lit party, which she had been waiting for a year. Her stepmother, Eveline, never let Kathy go anywhere. But this time, Eveline decided to let Kathy go as soon as she had finished with all her tasks. The stepmother asked Kathy to bring her some water, but she gave her a colander to carry the water. How can Kathy bring the water if she has nothing but a colander? Kathy needs to freeze some water and put it in the colander. It'll take some time to melt. When Eveline gets that colander full of ice, technically, it'll be full of water. Jeremy got lost while driving, so he found the nearest town and decided to spend the night in a hotel. After checking in, he went to the restaurant. Suddenly, the lights went off and everyone fell asleep. The next morning, Jeremy had a terrible headache and he couldn't remember anything. Look at these 2 photos. They were taken before and after the lights went out. Can you guess what happened? Look, there are some balloons in the first photo, but none in the second one. They must have been filled with sleeping gas. Someone wanted everyone to sleep. Jenny went grocery shopping and bought a lot of milk, yogurt, meat, and cheese. When she came back home, she realized that she had nowhere to store all these products as her fridge was already full. How can she save all the food she bought? Jenny needs to revise the stuff in her fridge. Look, there's a pack of rice, some chips, and even cookies. These products don't need to be stored in the fridge. Once she takes them out of the fridge, she'll have enough space to store the dairy products and meat she bought. Twiggy's got her 2 piggies. Alex grooves with his 2 wolves. And Tony has a pony. They're all on the shore of a vast and dangerous river. They need to get across, and there's only one small raft nearby. But it's not as simple as it might seem. There are 5 rules the guys need to follow. Rule number 1, the raft can only carry 2 of them. Number 2, only humans can row. Number 3, the piggies can't ride with Alex unless Twiggy is around. Number 4, the wolves can't ride with Twiggy without Alex. And finally, number 5, the pony can only ride with Tony. How can they all get across? First, they need Tony on board. He needs to take one of the wolves across the river. The rules don't prohibit it. When he comes back, Alex takes the second wolf across the river. Then Alex goes back alone. Twiggy joins him and they go to the other bank, where Twiggy leaves Alex and goes back alone. She gives the raft to Tony and his pony, and they go to the other bank. When they reach it, Alex takes the raft and goes back to pick up Twiggy. He picks her up, they go back, and Twiggy leaves Alex there. After that, she goes back to pick up her pigs one by one. Finally, I thought this was never going to end. Hey! A mysterious, daring thief committed a series of bank robberies in the city. The criminal is acting with a unique style. He leaves enigmatic pictures with two symbols at each crime scene. Detectives are confused. But thankfully, a police dog helps them track traces and leads them to an old house in a creepy neighborhood. The detectives find 3 suspects, but each of them has a strong alibi. Mr. Wildrose says, "I was busy celebrating my birthday with friends." Mr. Showberry says, "I was visiting a nighttime art exhibition, but unfortunately it wasn't allowed to take pictures inside." And Mr. Greenman says, "I had to stay home because I was sick. My mother was taking care of me, so she can verify my words." Can you spot the thief? Do you remember the picture of the crime scene? It shows a snowflake and a berry. This hint points to Mr. Snowberry. The detectives arrest Mr. Snowberry, but he finds a way to escape from his cell. The policemen are chasing him around a 2-story jail building. Mr. Snowberry hides on the roof and decides to jump off it. Can you guess why he decided to jump instead of climbing this tree? If he climbs the tree, he'll disturb these birds. They'll fly away and the police will notice him. Mr. Snowberry jumps and blacks out. After a while, he wakes up and finds himself locked in a small room. Mr. Snowberry looks around and finds a door. He tries to open it, but it's locked. He notices 3 buttons on the door. There's a circle on the first button, a triangle on the second one, and a square on the third button. He doesn't know which one he should press to unlock the door. Luckily, he finds a note with 3 numbers, 12, 4, and 8. Can you guess which button he should choose? There's a clock right above the door, and it's here for a reason. If we draw lines connecting 12, 4, and 8, we'll get a triangle. So he should press the triangle button. Mr. Snowberry manages to escape. He's starving and makes a stop at a restaurant. The waiter brings 2 trays of food. There are 3 differences between these meals. Can you spot them? Ready to see the correct answer? Here they are.
Yes!
The policemen spot Mr. Snowberry at the restaurant. They begin to chase the criminal, and he hides in this street. Can you help them find Mr. Snowberry? He's over here.
Oh.
Finally, Mr. Snowberry ends up in jail. But the city is shocked by another crime that happened in a historical museum. Someone stole an ancient emerald statue during an exhibition. This artifact is expensive and very rare. So the detective starts his investigation immediately. He finds 3 suspects who were standing close to the crime scene. But each of them denies any involvement in the theft. Jeff says, "I was recently released from prison. I'd like to recover my reputation so I avoid any trouble with the law." Peter, who claims to be a writer, says, "I would never risk my reputation for the sake of some stupid statue." And Frank says, "Sir, I'm a billionaire. I have enough money to buy this entire museum." Who is lying? Frank. He said he's a billionaire. Why would he wear a fake brand? Molly's kitten is missing. She's looking for her pet in the park and comes across these three strangers. One of them stole her kitten. Can you guess who? The first lady is just holding a bag with a toy cat. The second lady is pregnant. But the third guy is hiding a real kitten under his clothes. A weird incident happened at Mr. Green's hotel. All the fish disappeared from the aquarium. It's late, so Mr. Green suspects only 4 employees. Bobby, the porter, says, "I spent the whole day carrying guest bags, so I simply didn't have time for any thefts." The cleaner, Amy, says, "When I arrived at work, the aquarium was already empty." The waiter, Harry, says, "I was working all day, so I didn't walk near the aquarium." Meanwhile, Mary, the manager, says, "I don't like fish at all. I prefer dogs." After hearing their stories, Mr. Green knows for sure who stole the fish. What about you? Take a look at the puddle on the floor. Seems like Harry has recently gotten soaked, probably because he was trying to catch the fish from the aquarium. Oh no! Lauren checks into Mr. Green's hotel. In the lobby, she meets 3 porters who offer to take care of her luggage, but only one of them is trustworthy. Can you guess who? The first porter wears 2 watches, one on his left hand and one on his right. The left watch is too big, so it's probably stolen.
Really?
It's not safe to trust your luggage to a thief. And the third porter is a ghost. His feet don't touch the ground. Therefore, Lauren should trust the second guy. Me? I just get out of that hotel. Anyway, Lauren goes to the local nightclub. Kyle, Tom, and Nick invite her to dance. But only one of them is safe to dance with. What's your guess? Tom wears a leather jacket with sharp spikes.
Oh.
He can accidentally scratch Lauren while dancing. Take a look at Kyle's feet. It looks like he's about to turn into a werewolf.
Oh my god.
Lauren returns to the hotel and finds out that someone stole her favorite necklace from her room.
Oh god.
She runs to the lobby and faces 4 people: a manager, a janitor, a guest, and a porter. She asks, "Who stole my necklace?" But everyone swears to have nothing to do with the robbery. Can you help Lauren find the thief? It's the manager. She hid Lauren's necklace in her glass of water.
What?
The next morning, Lauren is having breakfast in the garden. Suddenly, somebody pulls a paint bucket prank on her. Take a look at the hotel guests. Can you figure out who did it? It was definitely the first guy. There are paint stains on his pants, and the color matches the prank paint perfectly. In the garden, Lauren finds something very curious. It's not alive, but it has 5 fingers. What is it? A glove. Mr. Green enters his office and finds a pleasant surprise on his desk. Someone brought a huge box of his favorite chocolates.
Yes.
Mr. Green questions his employees, but everyone swears to have nothing to do with the gift. The cleaning lady, Glenda, says, "Sir, I haven't entered your office room yet. I was too busy cleaning the bathrooms." The hostess, Holly, said, "I entered your room 2 hours ago to bring some documents. I didn't notice any chocolates." And the manager, Kara, said, "Wow, I had no idea you like chocolates. I started my shift 30 minutes ago and I didn't leave the lobby." Who's the secret admirer? Can you guess? According to Kara, she didn't enter Mr. Green's office, but she dropped one of her hairpins on the floor. Mr. Green invites Kara for lunch at the local buffet. There are 4 meals that they can enjoy: pizza, pasta, salad, and sushi. However, some of these meals are not safe. Can you figure out which ones? This pasta contains shoelaces, so it's not safe to eat. And there's a bee sitting on the sushi. It can sting, so this option isn't safe either. Lauren goes for a walk in the forest. Suddenly, she sees a weird cave with mysterious lights.
Oh my God.
She enters the cave and gets teleported to a parallel universe. Can you help her spot the difference between this reality and the normal world? This lady is wearing shoes on her hands. Well, that's weird. Lauren meets a wizard who promises to send her home. But first, she has to crack his riddle. Spelled forwards, I'm what you do every day. Spelled backward, I'm something you hate. What am I? If we spelled live backwards, we'll get evil. So the correct answer is live. Harry and Larry are twins. They were born in May, but their birthday is in June. How is this possible? Well, it's possible because May is a town. Gotcha.
Mary is a college student, and she's late for class. That's why she runs down the hallway and bumps into a skateboarder. She hits her head and forgets what class she was running to. Mary remembers just 3 things. This class is taught by a redhead professor. She has to go upstairs, and she already attended economics and philosophy classes today. Can you help her find the correct classroom? There are 4 redhead professors in this college, but we can exclude those whose classrooms are on the ground floor. Although this gentleman is on the first floor, he teaches economics, so he doesn't fit either. Meanwhile, the math teacher matches the requirements perfectly, so Mary should go up to the 2nd floor. Mary's walking down the street after classes. Suddenly, a car stops in front of her and someone kidnaps her. Mary wakes up in a dusty basement. The door is not locked, but it's guarded by a creepy guy. She looks around and finds 3 pills: red, green, and blue. Each pill will give her one specific superpower for 10 seconds. The red pill gives the power of super speed. The blue pill will make her invisible. And the green one will make Mary fly. Which pill should she choose to escape? Mary should choose the invisibility pill. The guard will not be able to catch her if he's not aware that she's running away. The next day, Mary goes to college and faces amazing news. Her friend Bill succeeded in making clones of some students. But unfortunately, now he cannot tell clones from real people. Can you help him? Let's take a closer look at the second lady's eyes and the third lady's ears. These 2 individuals are definitely clones. What about these guys? Can you sort out all the clones? Both of the palms of the second guy are right, and the third one has weird wires in his arm. So only the first guy is a human. Let's see if you can spot clones here. The first and the third guys are too suspicious for regular human beings. Mary is visiting her granny, who lives on a farm and grows vegetables. But Granny is very upset because someone stole the largest pumpkin from her garden the other night. She suspects one of her neighbors. Mary decides to question them. Olivia says, "My pumpkins are way better than your granny's. Why would I steal from her?" Sam says, "I was on a business trip the other night, so I didn't see anything. I'm not a huge fan of vegetables, that's why I don't grow them." And Tom says, "Your granny is bothering me with small talk all the time, so I avoid visiting her farm at all costs." Can you help Mary spot the thief? It was Sam. He has a scarecrow with a big pumpkin head. Granny goes to sleep early, and Mary decides to watch TV. Breaking news! A dangerous criminal ran away from a nearby prison and now creeps around the village. Suddenly, Mary hears someone knocking on the door. She opens and faces two ladies who introduce themselves as Mary's neighbors. Both ladies are baking cakes separately. Sarah is asking for a cup of sugar, and Sheila would like to borrow a cup of milk. But only one of them is safe to invite over. Can you guess who? Both ladies are wearing clothes with red stains. They might have stained it while making their cakes. But Sarah has a real axe hidden in her boot, so she must be the runaway criminal from the news. Mary is looking through Granny's old stuff and finds 3 spooky pictures. Only one of these ladies is a real human being. Can you guess who? The first lady is a real mermaid. Take a closer look at her neck. She has gills and she breathes underwater, so we can exclude her. The third lady has vampire ears and red eyes, but who knows, maybe it's just a costume. Meanwhile, the second lady is hanging on a transparent rope, so she's just pretending to be flying. And since we know there's only one human among these ladies, we can conclude that it's the second lady. Mary finds 2 similar pictures of her granny. Can you spot 3 differences between them? Here they are! Later that night, Mary receives a video call from her grandpa. He's working on a space station. Grandpa tells Mary sad news. "Tonight, someone from my team stole all the seeds from the local Martian kiwi. It took me a year to obtain them. I'd like to find the one who did it as soon as possible. Otherwise, it'll take years to find new seeds." Mary takes a brief look at the crew and spots the thief right away. What about you? In her user picture, Lily doesn't have any moles on her face. Seems like these spots are the kiwi seeds that she's decided to hide in plain sight. Mary goes to the local shopping mall and sees these 3 guys. One of them is going on a date tonight. Can you guess who? It must be the third guy. He's hiding a small wrapped gift, probably for his date. Mary enters a clothing store, looks around, and spots 4 odd details. Have you noticed them too? The mannequin has 6 fingers on one of her hands. The ceiling fan is not connected to any wires, but it works. The lady is eating ice cream near the cashmere sweaters, but there's a sign at the entrance forbidding customers from entering with food, and the sales lady is walking barefoot. Mary continues her shopping and finds something very curious. It has a head and a tail that will never meet. Having too many of them is always a treat. What is it? It's a coin. Mary purchases something that helps you from your head to your toe, but the more it works, the smaller it grows. Can you guess what it is? It's a bar of soap. Mary gets out of the shopping mall and walks to the parking lot. She approaches her car and sees that someone had written a couple of words on her windshield. Mary finds 3 suspects and questions them. Chelsea says, "I'm sorry, but I didn't see anything. I was too busy with my shopping bags." Peter says, "I've just parked my car nearby. Your windshield was already signed when I arrived there." And Alice says, "Wow, lady, you're still very lucky. Take a look at my car. Someone scratched it while I was in the supermarket." Who's guilty? Chelsea. Take a look at her lipstick color. It's purple, just like the inscription on Mary's car. Mary wants to take her car to the nearest car wash. Chelsea offers to pay for the cleaning if Mary manages to crack her riddle. The more you take, the more you leave behind. What am I? Ready to hear the correct answer? Footsteps. The weekend is over and Mary leaves Granny for college. She enters the dorm and finds a huge bouquet of roses on her bed. There's no card, so Mary has no idea who's her secret admirer. Mary questions 3 suspects, but each denies their involvement. Bill says, "I'm too broke. I can't afford to buy such an expensive gift." Paul says, "I have a girlfriend. I give flowers to her only." And Dave says, "Why would I get roses or anything else? You didn't reply to messages." Who brought the flowers? Bill. He has a few rose petals left under his bed. Mary goes to the local library. Oh no, the door is locked. Someone changed the 9-digit password, but luckily, Mary finds a note with a hint. 3, 1, 2, 9, 4, 7. Can you help her figure out the new code to open the door? She should literally press 3 1s, 2 9s, and 4 7s. Finally, Mary enters the library, but she yells and runs away in fear. Can you guess why? Take a look at the flower pots. There's a greenish snake crawling around one of the plants.
One day, Marcus was going home from work. There was a blackout in the city and everything was shrouded in darkness. Suddenly, he heard footsteps. Someone was rushing behind him. He started to turn around to check, and that's when the world around him went totally black. Marcus came to his senses in a basement, dimly lit by several candles. There were 3 doors before him. Behind the first door, hungry zombies were waiting for their next meal. Behind the second door, a fire was raging. And the third door hid a mess of bare electric wires. Now, you're the only one who can save Marcus. Write in the comments which door he should choose right away. As you might remember, there's a blackout in the city, so electrical wires are totally harmless at the moment. Marcus should slip through the third door. Strangely enough, the guy found himself in a barber shop. After staring at the scene in front of his eyes for a moment, he realized that one of his clients was in grave danger. Write who it is in the comments below and prove yourself to be as smart as Marcus. Marcus spotted that the red-haired hairdresser had mistaken a bug spray for a hairspray. But once he opened his mouth to warn the client, the entire room vanished into thin air. It was just a hologram. Was someone playing with Marcus? The guy went further. At one point, he turned around the corner and a freezing gust of wind hit him in the face. Marcus was outside and it was winter all around. Behind his back, there was no building, just snowdrifts and dark trees. The man could only move straight ahead. There were 3 paths ahead of him, but the one on the left led through the den of hungry wolves. To follow the one in the middle, Marcus would have to pass by a family of bears. And the right path went over a frozen lake covered with thin ice. The guy is freezing. Help him in the comments as fast as you can. Marcus should choose the path in the middle. It's winter, and bears kinda hibernate during this season. The guy is quiet, he won't wake them up, and will get out of the forest safely. And indeed, Marcus managed to escape danger and soon spotted a house hidden among the trees. But only after he entered did he realize it was a very strange and creepy house. The main clue was 4 doors in front of the guy. Behind door number 1, there was a room filled with piranha-infested water. Door number 2 hit a mountain slope. When someone stepped on it, an avalanche came hurtling down. Behind door 3, there were electric wires hanging low above the floor and some wet stains on the floor. And behind door number 4, there was nothing but a small room with just one window on the 58th floor, nothing else. Write your pick in the comments below faster than the other Brightside detectives. Marcus should walk through door 3. Since the wires don't actually touch the floor, the guy will be able to bend and crawl to the other exit. Unfortunately, whoever was testing Marcus's survival skills didn't want to make life easy for the guy. The door leading out of the room was locked and had 4 keyholes. There were also 4 keys hanging on the wall next to it. If Marcus wanted to get out of the room, he had to match the keyholes and the keys. If you can help him crack this tough task, comment "I can" below the video. Look at the bows of these keys. They all have openings with different numbers of edges. And the trick here is that the number of edges should meet the code number under each keyhole. Marcus was finally out of that scary room, but his adventures were far from over. Of all places, he found himself in a jail canteen. To get past these inmates, he needed to figure out which of them was the wealthiest. Can you help Marcus? The man on the left is a chef. That's why he has a special meal. The guy in the middle has some gold jewelry, but it's unlikely it can help him a lot in jail. As for the man on the right, he has a smartphone hidden in his pocket. And in prison, such a gadget means the ability to communicate with the outside world. So he must be the most influential and richest among them. But if you disagree, write your opinion in the comments. Poor Marcus. To get out of the jail canteen, he needed to choose the safest exit. But all of them seemed equally terrifying. The first one led to the den of a horrible dragon. The second to a room filled with boiling lava. And to get to the third room, Marcus would have to sneak through flesh-cutting laser beams. Well, that's a tough choice. Tell Marcus in the comments which way he should pick. The safest way is probably to sneak through the third exit. It's not going to be a walk in the park, but at least those laser beams are not moving. The next place Marcus found himself was in a battle area. Apparently, that mysterious force that was playing with him had notched the game. 3 creatures were waiting for the guy, and he needed to fight one of them to survive. The first monster had the head of a rattlesnake and the body of a giant ferret. The second one had the body of a gorilla and the head of an alligator. And the third creature had the face and body of a great white shark and the tail and claws of a bear. Which monster should Marcus choose? Share your wisdom in the comments. The first 2 monsters are likely to be extremely dangerous opponents. Imagine how agile and venomous the snake ferret might be. And the gorilla gator is certainly too strong for Marcus to defeat. As for the shark bear, well, since sharks have gills and can't breathe on land, the guy will just need to wait a bit, and this opponent will get out of his way on his own. Once everything was over, Marcus was transported to a dimly lit room. A bizarre-looking family was in front of him. Marcus had to figure out which member of this family was possessed by a ghost. Being as observant as he was, he soon found the answer. And how observant are you? Write in the comments. Admittedly, this woman looks kind of scared, but she's not possessed. She's choked on some food and can't breathe. The man is wearing dark glasses, even though he's indoors. Suspicious. But he's blind. Do you see that white cane the blind use next to him? The granny is the one who is possessed. There's a trace of ectoplasm that goes through the whole room towards her. After successfully cracking the riddle, Marcus found himself in a jungle. After wandering for hours, he came to a place where the path split into 3 smaller trails. The first one led to an active volcano with red-hot lava bubbling in its crater. If Marcus chose the second path, he would get to a clearing swarming with venomous bats. And the third path ended in a swamp, swallowing everything and everybody that got there. If you know where the guy should go, tell him in the comments, please. Marcus chose the second path, since most bats are only active at night, plus they almost never attack humans, and found himself at home in his own bed. Was it just a creepy, very detailed dream? Write what you think about it.
Private Detective Deborah was doing some shopping at the mall. Suddenly she heard people arguing. The woman went there and saw a stressed shop assistant and several people crowding him. The poor man had found a smartphone and made an announcement, and now several people claimed it was their phone. One man said the phone must have slipped from his bag. A young woman said the gadget belonged to her, and an older woman shouted it was her husband's device. That's when the phone rang. For some reason, the shop assistant handed it to Deborah. The woman glanced at the screen and immediately gave the phone to the man. How did she understand whose device it was? Deborah saw the word wife written on the screen. Emily has 2 glasses filled with water. In the first glass, the water is heated up to 100 degrees. In the second glass, the water is cooled down to minus 100 degrees. The girl drops 2 coins in the glasses at the same time. Which coin will reach the bottom faster? It'll be the coin in the glass with the warm water. The coin in the other glass won't sink at all. The water there is frozen. Jacob and his brother Jack were walking along the street. When they passed a grocery store, Jacob pointed at a young woman and exclaimed, "Oh, my niece is over there." His brother answered, "Oh, right, but it's not my niece." How come? The young woman is Jack's daughter. Ashley had a boyfriend, Mark, who was madly in love with her. Unfortunately, the woman didn't love him back. Once, she decided to leave him. Ashley knew Mark wouldn't let her go easily, so she ran away. But Mark was a very rich man and could find her almost anywhere. She had to be careful. 1 week later, Ashley was sitting in her hotel room when she heard a knock at the door. When the woman opened the door, she saw a man. She had never met him before. The stranger apologized. "Oops, I'm sorry, my bad. I was sure it was my room." He then turned around, went down the corridor, and disappeared in the elevator. Ashley rushed back into her room and started to pack her things. She instantly knew Mark had found her. How did she figure it out? No one will knock on their own hotel room door. It was Mark's man who was looking for her. The faster you run, the harder it is to catch this thing. What is it? It's your breath. David and his wife Jessica moved to another town. The place wasn't big. For the locals, new people coming to live there was a big deal. That's why, the next day, the couple's curious neighbors came to say hello. Karen introduced herself and said she was sure they'd become great friends. She had even cooked cupcakes for David and Jessica. Elderly Mrs. Latham told the newcomer she'd been living in the town for almost 80 years. Betty was extremely excited. "A man's come to live in our small town. And so good-looking at that. Awesome news." Two of the neighbors seemed a bit creepy, and only one looked normal. Who was it? Karen had decorated her cupcakes with something that looked suspiciously like eyes. Betty is too enthusiastic about David. As for Mrs. Latham, she is sure to know lots of things about the town and its inhabitants. She can be a useful source of information, and she cooked them some soup. Brandon's wife told him to cook several eggs, but the man had to boil them for exactly 2 minutes. She left her husband 3 hourglass timers for 3, 4, and 5 minutes. How can the man boil the eggs for exactly 2 minutes? Brandon waited until the water started to boil. Then he turned over the 3 and 5 minute timers. When the 3-minute timer ran out, he dropped the eggs into the water. And when the 5-minute timer ran out, he had his perfectly boiled eggs. It was the first time Eric sailed his brand new yacht. But the man seemed to be out of luck that day. A bad storm sank the yacht, and Eric hardly had any time to make it to the surface. Half conscious, he ended up on some beach. In the morning, the man realized he was stranded on a tiny, uninhabited island. No radio, no cell phone, no means of communication whatsoever, and the island had no trees to make a smoke signal. On the third day, Eric noticed a small plane circling in the sky over the island. Were they searching for him? But the aircraft was flying too high, and the pilot couldn't see Eric. And still, the man did something, and soon he was picked up by a rescue helicopter. How did he attract the pilot's attention? Eric picked up some stones and used them to write SOS on the sand. Helen lives in Singapore with her husband Dennis. Once, she tells her husband she wants to visit her aunt who lives in Italy. Dennis doesn't mind, but he asks his wife to send him a photo as soon as she gets to Europe. When Helen lands in Rome, she sends Dennis a selfie. Under the picture, she writes, "Ciao from Italy, I've just arrived." After looking at the photo, Dennis realizes his wife lied to him. How did he know? In the picture, the clock on the wall shows exactly the same time as the clock in the kitchen, which is in Singapore. If Helen was in Rome, the clock would show a big time difference. One day, Christopher decided he had to develop his logical thinking skills. The guy found a tutor and started visiting him to have private lessons. But this teacher had one interesting habit. Closer to the end of each lesson, he always gave Christopher several riddles. The guy wasn't allowed to go home until he solved them. This Friday, the first riddle went like this. How can you make 6 into an odd number? Tricky. How? He removed the letter S and got IX. That's 9 in Roman numerals. But the guy knew it was just the beginning. The next riddle was even more difficult. It's thin, but when water splashes it, none seeps through. When hit, it changes color. It covers an incredibly complex thing, yet it's very easy to flex. What is it? At first, Christopher didn't have any idea. Duh, he'd have to stay and crack riddles till midnight. Luckily, in a moment, it dawned on him. It's the skin. Christopher's tutor was impressed with the guy's progress. "Okay," he said, "one more riddle and you can go home." 3 doctors said that Ryan was their brother, but Ryan claimed he didn't have any brothers. Who was lying? Christopher figured out right away that everyone was telling the truth. All the doctors were Ryan's sisters. Whew, he could finally go home. The morning after a heavy snowfall, Justin went outside and stopped in his tracks. He saw there was twice as much snow on top of his garage as there was on his neighbor's. Still, Justin didn't get surprised or upset. Why? Justin's garage is twice as big as his neighbor's. No wonder it also has twice as much snow. Amy went on holiday to the seaside and met 3 guys there. They were friends, but it didn't stop all of them from trying to impress the girl. In the evening, they all met in a restaurant to have dinner, and the guys started to tell Amy about their adventures. Sam boasted, "I'm a pilot, and I've already traveled all over the world." Larry said, "I once took part in an expedition to the North Pole. It was amazing. I saw penguins and polar bears." Jerry barged in, "And I'm an astronaut. When I was in space last time, I went on a spacewalk. I wanted to see our planet from above, but I was almost blown away by a strong wind." Who's lying to make a better impression? Both Larry and Jerry are lying. Penguins live near the South Pole, and there's no wind in outer space. It's an almost perfect vacuum. Andrew and Gary are twins. They were born just 1 minute apart, and Andrew is the elder of the two. But for some mysterious reason, they celebrate their birthdays 2 days apart once every several years. How is this possible? Andrew was born at 11:59 p.m. on February 28. It wasn't a leap year. So Gary, who appeared just 1 minute later, was already born on March 1st. That's why, during leap years, they have 2 days between their birthdays. A famous scientist went missing. The last time his colleagues saw him, he was in his laboratory. When the police arrived, they found a calendar lying on the man's table. There were several numbers written in pencil at the bottom: 6, 4, 9, 10, 11. The police officers had 5 suspects: David, Sarah, Jason, Betty, and Kevin. Who is behind the scientist's disappearance? It's Jason. The numbers stand for months, and the first letter of each month spells the name of the criminal. So the 6th month is June, and the first letter of June is J. The 4th month is April, and the first letter of April is A, and so on. Smarty pants. A super wealthy businessman, Mr. Carl Jenkins, has been taken and left locked up all alone in a dark room. His phone's almost run out of charge, so he can only write one message. He knows that someone might spy on his phone, so he decided to write a message with a code to a high school friend, John Smith, who runs a detective agency. He remembered that in high school, they would cipher messages to each other, so he used the same technique. The message was this. Can you guess what it means? Back in high school, they would shift one letter to the right each time they needed to write a secret code. To decipher it, you need to go one letter to the left. Their alphabet looks like this. The message is, "It was Eric." Having read the message, John knew immediately who his friend was talking about. Eric is the financial director of Carl's company. He had seen him once at a party a couple of years ago, so he knew what he looked like. John decided to investigate this case himself and help his friend out. He was sure there was something secret in Carl's mansion. Somehow he thought he knew that Eric would have the key to the mansion. The receptionist, Kelly, said he would always have lunch with different business partners at 2 p.m. sharp in his favorite cafe. When the detective drove up to the cafe, he saw Eric, the man with a beard, discussing business with someone. Either of them had a briefcase next to them, and the briefcases looked similar to each other. John was waiting for Eric and the second guy to leave the cafe. They went to the car, got in, and left both briefcases on the back seat. The detective followed them. They left the car in a parking lot, and luckily, they were careless enough to leave the car open. Which briefcase should the detective grab? The one that looks brand new. While they were walking to the car, the detective spotted a few scratches on the second man's briefcase. Both briefcases were locked with a cipher. Not to make the whole thing suspicious, the detective decided not to take it and cracked the code right in the car. Can you help him open the briefcase? The code is 000. The briefcase is brand new, and Eric probably didn't have time to set a code on it yet. Plus, Eric's the one who leaves the car open and unattended in a parking lot, so no wonder he uses a default code for his briefcase. Now that the detective has the key, he heads to the mansion. The front door isn't a problem with the key in hand. The study is upstairs. He's been there before, so he remembers the stairs leading up have a secret. If you step on the wrong stair, you'll instantly fall to the basement and won't be able to escape from it yourself. What step should John mind? It's the one with the slit in the middle. When you step on it, it opens and you get into a dark room with bats and spiders. Yikes! Alright, John is finally at the study door, and Carl would always use buttons to open it. You've got only one try. There are 3 buttons, yellow, green, and blue. Which one should the detective choose if he knows that Carl is a big fan of painting? A combination of blue and yellow gives green, so the door opens. Green light for our detective. He finally reaches the safe with top-secret documents that could help him find out the truth. Obviously, just like any other safe, it's locked with a code. It also has a warning. You can enter the code only once. If you hit the wrong code, the safe locks up forever. He's looking around for a hint, and voila! John is right. On the desk, he sees a note. It says, "Secret code," and has a combination of 3 digits, 3, something, and 1. The digit in the middle can't be seen since there's an ink stain right on it. Can you crack the code with one attempt only? The code is 371. The detective thought the code was used frequently, so the button must have been a bit worn out. He was right. Since he knew the beginning and the end, he only needed to find one more worn button. Alright, now he's got the top-secret documents he needed for his investigation. He looks through all the papers and finally finds something that looks like the document he actually needed. To take it as a hard proof, he needs to find one which is not fake. There are 4 copies. They look almost the same, but only one is real. Can you guess which one? It's the one in the upper left corner. It has a stamp, a signature, and it says agreement. The one next to it looks the same, but it has a spelling mistake. It says agreement. Other copies lack either a stamp or a signature. So the detective takes a closer look at this agreement and sees something about a painting bought in an auction. He suddenly understands that his friend Carl was taken so that someone could sneak into his mansion and grab that super expensive painting. He's looking at the wall with all the paintings Carl collected and realizes that no painting is missing. There are as many nails in the wall as there are paintings. Still, there's something strange about one of them. Can you spot what's wrong here? Even though all the paintings are present, there's one that lacks a frame. According to the agreement, the painting has been recently bought, and an art dealer helped Carl pick it. The expert was an honest man, and he helped Carl make sure all the other paintings in his collection were real. This time, the painting turned out to be nothing but a copy. Why did the expert suggest that Carl buy it? Although the painting cost nothing, its frame was a beautiful and expensive piece of art. The one who grabbed it definitely knew that. Now it's all clear. John has to find both Carl and the precious frame. He goes outside, trying to deduce where the person who took Carl went. Carl is looking at all the tracks on the ground. He needs to follow one of them to understand where to look for Carl. Where should he go? He's got to follow the tracks going to the left. There are 3 sets of tracks here. The first belonged to John's car. The second set belongs to a 2-wheel vehicle, and since the tracks are really thin, they were left by a bike. It seems impossible to take someone somewhere on a bike, so these must belong to a mail carrier who comes every day to bring the letters. The last set of tracks definitely belongs to a large car, so John should follow it. He's lucky and there are no turns, so he's just going straight. Half an hour later, he sees something like a castle. He drives up to it and he sees 3 moats in front of him. Here's the first one, a row full of metal stakes. How can John jump over it safely? There's a small hot air balloon nearby. John has to untie it and light the lamp to take off. Since the next moat is on fire, John thinks it's unsafe to fly over it because the air balloon doesn't fly high enough and the lamp doesn't have enough oil to go on for long. Still, he managed to cross the moat with fire easily. How did he do it? He took the sand from the air balloon's ballast and sprinkled it on the fire, extinguishing it. The last moat was filled with scalding hot lava. It took John some time to figure out how to cross it, but he managed to do it safely. How? There were a lot of stones around him. The lava torrent wasn't deep at all, so throwing stones at it, he made a tiny path to hop on. The castle was rather small inside, so the hardest thing was to actually get into it. When he entered the hall, John saw 3 doors. Above the doors, there was a sign. It said, "One of the doors leads to a labyrinth no one ever escaped. One of the doors is the exit. If you enter it, you'll have to cross all the 3 moats all over again. One of the doors has what you're looking for." When John looked at the doors, he knew immediately where his friend was. Which door did he choose? The handles were made of shiny metal, which looks cool but gathers all the fingerprints. The only door with fingerprints is the one on the left. John opens the door and sees his friend. Carl rushes out of that dark room, and while heading to the exit, they spot a few frames. Which one is Carl's? The rectangular one. The painting was rectangular, and the two other frames are square. The two friends get out of the castle, get in the car, and head to the police department. There, an officer's waiting for them. They have 3 suspects who could have possibly taken the exquisite frame. Carl and John enter the room separately. Still, they choose the same person. Who did they choose? The man on the right. Carl chooses him because it's the art expert. John chooses him because he saw him with Carl having lunch. Wow, seems like this expert's not going to work with Carl ever again.
Alright, wake up your brain, let's go. A man is trapped in a room that only has 2 possible exits. The first door leads to a room made out of magnifying glass. The blazing hot sun instantly fries anything or anyone that enters that place. Behind the second door, a fire-breathing dragon is hiding. Does the man have any chance to escape unharmed? Well, he just needs to wait until nighttime and then leave through the first door. This princess urgently needs your help. Can you help her find her frog prince among all these other frogs? Look, the princess is carrying a picture of the frog she's looking for. It can help you spot the right one. Here he is in the bottom right corner. I come out every night without being called. I am lost in the day without being stolen. What am I? If you think it's a star, you're absolutely right. I have a speed of almost 100 miles per hour, but I don't leave the room. You can cover me, but it won't prevent me from continuing ahead. I don't plan my visits. I can arrive at any moment at any time of the year. What am I? I'm a sneeze. Each of the 5 neighborhood dogs is enjoying one of the following activities: getting its ears scratched, playing catch, taking a nap, hiding a chew toy, and going for a walk. Pepper is either playing catch or hiding a chew toy. Neither Ginger nor Saber nor Bear is on a walk. One of the dogs named after a spice is getting its ears scratched. A dog not named after a spice is playing catch. Bear is getting some exercise. Can you figure out what each pooch is doing? Saber is taking a nap. Ginger is getting its ears scratched. Nutmeg is going for a walk. Pepper is hiding a chew toy. And Bear is playing catch. The combined weight of a cat and a guinea pig is 10 pounds. The weight of a dog and a guinea pig is 20 pounds. And the weight of a cat and dog is 24 pounds. Can you figure out how much each of the animals weighs and determine their common weight? The cat weighs 7 pounds, the guinea pig weighs 3 pounds, and the weight of the dog is 17 pounds. It means all animals will weigh 27 pounds. Ben and Grace are having a party. They're both preparing meals at the same time. Grace is at the grill and Ben is in the kitchen, but one of them is doing something wrong. Who is it? It's Ben. His stove is off. Then how is he cooking? 5 friends came to Kim's sleepover party. When it got too late, Kim's mom told them to go to bed. But sometime later, the woman heard some noise coming from the room. When she went to check, she saw that one of the windows was open. All of the teens were in their beds and seemed to be sleeping. But someone must have left the room and come back. Who was it? It was the girl on the left. Look, she's wearing her shoes, indicating she went outside and then returned indoors. What can be measured even though it has no length, width, or height? It's temperature. Take me out of a window and I leave a grieving wife. But stick me in a door and I can save someone's life. What am I? It's the letter N. John asked his friend Thomas how many children there were in his family. Thomas answered in a bizarre way. 2 pairs of twins twice. Can you figure out what he meant? In simple words, there are 8 children in Thomas's family. Look at this brain teaser closely. Can you figure out which part is missing? It's part A. Your friends come to congratulate you on your birthday. They have a great gift for you, but you can't get it so easily. First, you need to figure out the password to a combination lock. Luckily, your friends have some hints for you. Here, number 1 is correct and in the right place. 1 number is correct, but is in the wrong place in this combination. 2 numbers are correct, but in the wrong place. There are no correct numbers here. And in this combination, 1 number is correct, but in the wrong place. Can you open the combination lock and get your gift? The code you need is 394. Julia took part in a cooking competition. She decided to prepare her favorite muffins. She did her best and the muffins looked great. But when the jury members tried them, they started to make faces and sputter. It turned out someone had replaced the sugar with salt in the process of cooking. The girl understood she had lost her chance to become the winner. But at least she could figure out who had done it to her. She had 3 other competitors. Wayne told her he hadn't even been there. He forgot to buy several ingredients and did some last-minute shopping. Amber said that she had been preparing the icing for her cake. And Diana told Julia that she had been very busy with the recipe. It was complicated, and she had to follow it precisely. Very soon, Julia knew who had spoiled her muffins. And have you figured it out? It was Amber. She said she had been preparing the icing, but her cake is only sprinkled with some powdered sugar. Nancy was angry with her boyfriend Paul and sent him an email saying she was going to break up with him. But just an hour after sending the message, the girl found out Paul had done nothing wrong. Now she needed to delete the email from his computer. The girl knew Paul was at work, so she sneaked into his house. But the computer was protected by a password. Nancy thought the word she needed could be her name. Paul loved her very much after all. But the girl was wrong. And then an idea came to her mind. She typed in a word, and this time it was correct. Look at what Nancy saw on the screen and try to figure out the password. The password was 67683. These numbers correspond with the letters of Nancy's name. Dennis called the police and told them a large sum of money had disappeared from his dorm room. He thought the thief was one of his neighbors. The police arrived and questioned the guy's neighbors. Deborah, a designer, told the officers, "I had to finish an important project. That's why I pulled an all-nighter. When I sent the final version to the client in the morning, I went to bed and only woke up when you came." Aaron, a waiter, said, "I've had a very long shift today because one of my colleagues got ill. I haven't seen Dennis since yesterday." And Nathan, a vet, said, "I've just come back home. One of my patients called and told me he felt unwell. I had to hurry to the hospital where he was and stay with him." The police officers immediately understood who was lying. And you? It was Nathan who had taken the money. He lied about a patient calling him. He's a vet. Look at these three young ladies. Can you figure out who the cat belongs to? The owner of the cat is the blonde girl. She has the animal tattooed on her ankle. See? John was hungry. He took something, threw away the outside, and cooked the inside. Then he ate the outside and threw away the inside. What snack did he have? He had an ear of corn. Jason arrived at a hotel. He told the receptionist his name and received the key to his room and a note. There were just 3 letters there, F, B, and D.
Uh-oh.
After some thinking, the guy understood what his room number was. Do you know it too? It's room 624. F is the 6th letter of the alphabet, B is the 2nd, and D is the 4th. Look at this picture very closely. Can you figure out who the owner of this cute puppy is? The man on the left is holding a toy, but it's not a chew toy. It's actually his son's. The man on the right seems to have the same vibe as the pooch. But the real owner is the man in the middle. The puppy has a green bandana tied around his neck, and the man has the same bandana wrapped around his wrist. Daniel needed to visit his relatives in another city, so he boarded a train leaving from the railway station in his town. Not far from the station, there was a rather long tunnel. The train left the station and started to accelerate. Daniel's main problem was that he was a bit claustrophobic. What is the best place for him to sit? Daniel should sit at the back of the train. This way, he will spend minimum time inside the tunnel since the train is accelerating and moving faster and faster. Now let's say you have a bedsheet that is 50 inches long on each side, and you need to create 50 handkerchiefs with each side 1 inch long. It takes you 1 minute to cut out a 1-inch handkerchief. How long will it take you to cut 50 handkerchiefs? "49 minutes. When you finish the 49th handkerchief, you'll be left with 1 more piece of fabric you won't need to cut out. Lena, Allison, and Jenny are 3 daughters of mathematician George. When someone asks George about the ages of his daughters, he replies, "The current age of my daughters is prime. Also, the difference between their ages is also prime. So, how old are the girls?" Lena is 2, Allison is 5, and Jenny is 7. Their age difference is always a prime number. 7 minus 2 is 5. 7 minus 5 is 2. 5 minus 2 is 3. 7 criminals robbed a bank and hid the coins they got at a deserted factory. They decided to divide the money equally the next morning. But 2 greedy robbers wanted to deceive the others. They went to the factory at night and tried to divide the coins equally between them. But 1 coin was left. So they called another robber and decided to divide the amount equally among the 3 of them. Sadly, 1 coin was left again. The same thing happened when they called the 4th, 5th, and 6th robbers. Only when the 7th robber arrived in the morning did they manage to divide the coins equally. How many coins were there in total? There were 301 coins. This number can't be divided by 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 evenly. At the same time, 301 can be perfectly divided by 7. Now, look at these 2 ladies performing on the stage. Both of them have to do dangerous tricks. But can you figure out which of them is in real danger? It's the girl with the snake. This is a venomous snake. Someone replaced the harmless snake the girl had to use in her performance with this dangerous reptile. See that box with the warning sign the snake was taken from? The other girl is safe. Even though the skirt seems to be burning uncontrollably, she's holding a special spray to extinguish the fire. On a tropical vacation, 4 friends decided to go snorkeling. Each friend spotted a different marine creature: a sea turtle, a clownfish, a starfish, and a jellyfish. Can you match each of the friends with the marine creature they spotted if Emma didn't see the sea turtle, Liam spotted the jellyfish, Olivia didn't see the clownfish, Jack saw the starfish? Emma spotted the clownfish, Liam saw the jellyfish, Olivia spotted the sea turtle, and Jack saw the starfish. After marveling at amazing sea creatures, our 4 friends rented 4 different watercraft: a kayak, a paddleboard, a jet ski, and a sailboat. Can you match each of the friends with the watercraft they rented based on these clues? Emma didn't rent the kayak or the sailboat. Liam rented the jet ski. Olivia was choosing between the paddleboard and the sailboat. Jack didn't rent the sailboat. Emma rented the paddleboat. Liam rented the jet ski. Olivia rented the sailboat, and Jack rented the kayak. So, I have keys but can't open any locks. I have a flat surface, but you can't stand on it. What am I? I'm a map. A system error caused the change in David's net banking password. To sort this out, he called customer care. This is the conversation he had with the assistant. David, my password has changed. Custom care executive, we have kept your password distinct this time. It has 8 letters, out of which 3 letters are the same as previous. David, okay, thanks. Can you determine the old and the new password of David's net banking account? The original password was changed, and the new password given by the custom care executive is distinct. In the 22nd century, robots live among people, and it's nothing out of the ordinary. But sometimes, they resemble people so much it makes the detective work way harder. Like this time. Eric Blank, an experienced police officer, has to figure out which of the 3 suspects is guilty of identity theft. He knows for sure the culprit is a robot, but who isn't human? It's the girl in the middle. She has a USB port on the side of her neck. There is a wide field of corn. A goose finds its way into the field and starts running. Can you figure out up to which point the goose can run into the field? The goose can only run till the middle of the field. After that, it'll actually be running out of the field. Look at these 9 marbles and the way they're arranged. Can you move just 2 marbles to form a square? It can be done this way. Marta's shoes were all green except 2, all red except 2, and all pink except 2. How many shoes did Marta have? Just 3, 1 of each color. Janet had a dream. She wanted to become her professor's assistant. He was a famous and talented scientist. The man knew she was a smart girl, but before offering her the position, he decided to test her. The professor took her to a house with 2 rooms. They were completely isolated from each other. In one room, there were 3 switches. In the other room, there were 3 light bulbs. Janet had to stay in the room with the switches. She was allowed to go to the other room only once. She had to understand which switch was connected to each of the bulbs. The girl managed to solve this task. How did she do it? She turned on the first switch and waited for a minute. Then she turned it off. After that, she flipped the second switch and went inside the room with the bulbs. One of the bulbs was on. It was the one connected to the second switch. Janet touched the remaining bulbs. The warm one was connected to the first switch, and the cold one was linked to the third switch. You've drawn a long line. How can you make it even longer without touching it? You need to draw another shorter line nearby. In this case, the first one will be longer than the second one. I have 6 faces and 21 eyes, and still I can't see. What am I? I'm a dice. An empty bus arrived at a bus stop, and 15 people entered. At the next stop, 10 passengers left the bus, and 5 people fewer than at the first stop entered. After the third stop, 15 people left the bus. How many people are still inside? Only one person, the driver. Detectives have been trying to catch 2 infamous bank robbers for several years, and finally, after another robbery, they managed to capture one of the criminals. Police officers interrogated him for 2 days, but he said nothing about the stolen money or his accomplices' whereabouts. Still, in the next 24 hours, the detectives managed to find the place where the money was hidden. It was a small house in the suburbs. In its basement, there was a man who seemed very excited to see the police. He said he had been trapped in the house already for a week. Nobody visited him, and he was starting to run out of food. That's why he was so happy to read the good news in the paper. The police officers immediately realized he was the accomplice they had been looking for. How? If he was trapped in the basement, how could he get a hold of fresh newspapers?
Carl and his wife Olivia had dinner. They ate the same dishes: French fries, some fish, and vegetable salad. Half an hour later, Carl felt unwell and called the ambulance. But when specialists arrived, he was already unconscious. The man was immediately taken to a hospital. Luckily, doctors had enough time to save him. When they figured out what was wrong with Carl, everyone was shocked. The man had been poisoned. But how could it happen? He and his wife ate the same dishes, but Olivia was perfectly fine. Even more surprising, the next day, the police arrested the woman for trying to poison her husband. How come? Olivia made all the dishes not salty enough and put poison in the salt shaker. Peter graduated from the police academy and began to work as a trainee detective. 1 week after the guy started his new job, he already had the first tricky case on his hands. One of his colleagues was investigating a series of crimes connected with smuggling. She was close to solving the case, but several days ago, the woman disappeared. Peter visited the last location where his colleague was spotted and found a note: 710-57735 34 5508 51 7718. Peter has 3 suspects: Bill, a manager in an oil company; Todd, a jeweler; and John, a car dealer. Who's the criminal? Peter has managed to prove he deserves his detective badge. The guy turned the message upside down and tried to read it that way. Surprisingly, the letters made rather legible words. Bill is boss. He sells oil. Something went wrong in a super-secret laboratory. There was a leak of a newly developed experimental chemical, and it made several plants and animals mutate in the blink of an eye. Scientists ended up locked in one room with the vicious monsters. One of the researchers managed to figure out how they could get out of this dire situation, but the substance they needed was in another part of the laboratory. The scientists could get there through one of 3 corridors. The first was guarded by fire-breathing crocodiles. Hey, it was an experimental laboratory after all. The second corridor was filled with meat-eating sunflowers with extra sharp teeth. And the third passage was swarming with venomous bees. Which one should the scientists choose? They should opt for the corridor with the sunflowers. Those are plants, and however scary they are, they can't move. Terry and Alice fell in love and started going out, but the woman's best friend Sarah was jealous of their relationship. Alice didn't want to lose her friendship and tried to keep the dates with her boyfriend in secret. That's why she left him coded messages with the places where they were going to meet. That day, Terry found a new note. It looked like this. At first, he was puzzled, but soon enough, he realized where he was going to see Alice. Can you figure it out? Alice told Terry to meet her at the street corner. Patrick called the police. The man seemed to be worried sick. "My wife Victoria took our dog for a walk in the afternoon. Several hours ago, our pooch returned, alone. I don't know where Vicky is." The police questioned the suspects. Mrs. Summers said she'd been watching TV all day long. "I was busy delivering the mail," said the postman. "I didn't have time to linger in this area, and I didn't see anything." And Mr. Thomas told the police he'd been working in his home office. The detective knew at once one of these people was lying. Who was it? It was the postman. His sleeve is a bit torn, and there's a dog bite on his arm. Plus, some black fur is stuck to his pants. Victoria's dog probably tried to protect the woman. 3 expensive watches have been stolen from Mr. Brown's store this year. The police can't help the poor man. He decides to hire a private detective. When Laura arrives, she immediately asks for the CCTV footage from January to December. After watching it, she tells the store owner who the thief is. What has she noticed in the video? The same guy came to the store several times, in April, August, and November. And every time, he has a cast on his arm. But no broken bone would need 8 months to heal. Joe had a friend, Randy, who never answered questions directly. Once, Joe sent Randy a message, inviting him to join their common friends in a cafe. Randy's answer was kinda weird. Sorry, no money. Job in job. Luckily, Joe knew his friend well enough to understand what he meant. But can you figure it out? Randy meant he had no money because he was in between jobs. The next time Joe texted Randy was when he needed some advice. Despite all his quirks, his friend was very good at finding solutions to difficult situations. So Joe wrote, "My girlfriend took my professional camera without asking permission, and then she accidentally smashed it. What should I do?" The answer was bizarre, not that it was unexpected. Give, get, give, get, give, get, give, get. At first, Joe didn't think he wanted to follow this advice, but a bit later, he decided it was the best course of action. What was the advice? Forgive and forget. Dylan was an extremely popular guy in his office. Tall, handsome, funny, and friendly. But there was one thing that made certain people dislike him. The man had a new girlfriend every month. That Friday, Dylan came to work happier than he'd ever felt. He finally bought the car of his dreams. At lunchtime, he went to the parking lot to check in on his new toy. Oh no! His car was a mess, scratched and covered in paint. Dylan went pale and called security. He had 3 suspects, all of them his exes. Andrea said she didn't even know Dylan had got a new car. Catherine answered she'd been preparing a report for their boss and hadn't left her desk. And Mila told the guy she'd forgiven him long ago. Who ruined Dylan's car? It was Catherine. She had some smeared paint on her skirt, and the color is the same as the paint on the man's car. 2 maids work in a small hotel in the mountains. One day, the hotel owner finds out one of them regularly steals stuff from guests, but he doesn't know which one it is. Look at these maids cleaning the rooms. Can you help the owner understand who's guilty? The maid on the right hasn't noticed the ring under the sofa. She might not be a great cleaner, but also not a thief. As for the maid on the left, she's spotted the ring and put it in her bucket. It means she's going to take it for herself after she finishes cleaning. She's the one who steals things. One afternoon, all the money was stolen from the register of a small cafe on the beach. The police have 5 suspects. All of them claim they haven't been to the cafe in the past hour. Look at them closely and try to figure out who's the thief. It's the guy with the cocktail in his hand. He definitely bought it in the cafe. But then, why did he lie about not visiting the place? Police officer Cheryl Adams was visiting her colleagues in another town. She was walking along the river, taking pictures to send to her husband, when a man crashed into her. They both fell to the ground. After helping Cheryl to her feet, the man started to apologize. It turned out someone had stolen his wallet, and he was trying to catch the thief. I was painting my boat and my wallet was lying next to me. But then I got distracted, just for a moment. But when I turned back, the wallet wasn't there anymore." Cheryl understood the thief couldn't have gone far. She pulled the man to the nearby pier. There were 4 people there. After looking at them closely, the police officer knew who the thief was. Now it's your turn to figure it out. It's the man who's talking on the phone. There's some green paint on his feet. Julia came to have lunch in her favorite restaurant. She occupied a table near the window and put her bag in the seat next to her. Once the woman gave her order to the waiter, she went to the bathroom to wash her hands. But when she returned to the table, her bag was open and her wallet was missing. The waiter told her he had noticed only one man passing by her table. He was short, with a tattoo on his neck. He seemed to go out to the terrace. Julia rushed there and saw 3 people sitting at their tables. She looked at them closely and soon understood who'd taken her wallet. Who was the thief? It's the young woman on the right. You can see a wig and some men's clothing in her bag. Plus, she's wearing a turtleneck to cover her tattoo.
Sally, Nellie, and Kelly are hanging out at the beach. They play volleyball and have a lot of fun. But then their ball flies away into the bushes. Nellie leaves the playground to bring it back, and she never comes back. Kelly and Sally look everywhere, but Nellie is gone. They begin to panic and call the police. Detective Bold arrives quickly, finds 3 suspects, and questions them. Bill says, "I've been chilling here since morning, but I didn't notice anything." Kyle says, "I arrived here just now, so I have no idea what's going on." And Mike says, "I was diving in the sea and watching the corals." Can you figure out the kidnapper? It's Kyle. He's wearing the same cap as Nellie. It seems too small for his head. That's because Kyle kidnapped Nellie and stole her cap. Sally returns to the apartment building where she lives. Wow, there's a basket with a cute little kitten on her porch. Sally takes 2 pictures to send them to her friends. Can you spot 3 differences between them? Here they are. Sally wants to know who brought the kitten, so she interrogates her neighbors. Tom says,
"I've been playing video games since early morning. I didn't leave my place at all."
Tim says, "I've been working out and I haven't left my apartment yet." Tyler says, "I stayed home all day too. I was too busy playing basketball." Who's lying? Tyler. He's playing with a soccer ball, not a basketball. Moreover, it's pretty hard to play basketball alone inside the apartment. Sally goes to the supermarket to buy some milk for the kitten. Only these 3 packs of milk are left on the shelf. Can you help Sally choose the best option? The second milk expired 2 centuries ago, and the third milk carton is bloated, which means that it has already turned sour. Therefore, Sally should grab the first milk. Sally has been working as a cab driver for several years. One day, a police officer finds Sally unconscious in her car. Someone attacked her and stained the car with glue. The officer checks Sally's app account. Sally had quarrels with 3 clients recently, so he interrogates them. Rob says, "I took a cab to the university. When we arrived, Sally asked me to pay extra money for parking, and we had a brief quarrel, but I wouldn't put my future career at risk for a couple of dollars." Karen says, "Yesterday, I received an emergency call. My husband got to the hospital, so I needed to get there as soon as possible." but Sally was driving very slowly. That's why we had a quarrel. And Mrs. Green says, I was returning home from the supermarket after grocery shopping. Sally asked for extra money for helping me with the bags. I didn't like it. After hearing their stories, the officer knows for sure who's guilty. What about you? Take a closer look at Sally's car. It's parked near the hospital, which means that Karen's trip was the last one before the attack. Therefore, she did it. Sally is feeling much better and she gets back to work. She needs to pick up her client at a restaurant. Her app offers 3 possible routes, but only one of them will actually bring her to the desired destination. Can you guess which one? Sally should choose the second route. Sally parks her car near the restaurant and faces the following scene. One of these ladies has a ghost mother. Can you guess who? The second lady is a ghost mother. Take a look at her mother's face. She's even younger than her daughter, which means that time has stopped for her a long time ago. Moreover, she leans over a candle without any fear of an open flame. Sally wants to visit her boyfriend Ken at his office, but the front door is locked. Can you help Sally figure out the 5-digit code? Let's take a closer look at these scratches. These are hints. All Sally needs to do is count the number of intersections. So the code is 23504. Finally, Sally gets inside Ken's lab. He shows her a spaceship from another galaxy. Ken found it and managed to repair everything except the dashboard. How should these wires be connected to make it work? Here, we see unfamiliar symbols from another galaxy. Our task is to determine which word each symbol corresponds to. These dots are put in the same places as the tails of some letters. This way, we can find a match for each word and connect the wires. Suddenly, Sally gets sick. She has a headache and a sore throat. Ken only has 4 pills that are identical to each other. They don't have any cover or instructions. So there's no way he can identify which pill serves that purpose. The only thing he knows is that 2 of these 4 pills will cure the throat and the remaining 2 will help with the headache. Sally should take 1 of each kind to heal. What should she do? The only solution available is to cut each pill in half, and then take 1/2 from each of the 4 pills. This way, she'll definitely have 1 pill of each kind. Ken offers Sally to live together. They begin to look for a new apartment and arrange 3 meetings with landlords. Each tells a story about their property. Mrs. Gray says, I inherited this amazing apartment from my sister, but now I want to rent it for the long term because I'm moving to a farm with my husband. Oliver says, I've been living in this property for 5 years, and it's in perfect condition. But now, I'm moving abroad for work. So I'd like to find good tenants who will take care of it. And Rose says, This apartment belongs to my mother-in-law. She lives in Europe and asked me to find new tenants. Only one of these landlords is trustworthy. Can you guess who? There's an advertisement near Mrs. Gray's apartment. This property is for sale. Therefore, she probably lied about the long-term lease. And now, let's take a closer look at Oliver's ceiling. It's leaking. Therefore, his apartment is not in perfect condition. Liar! Sally's kitten ran away. She's been looking for her pet all day long. Suddenly, Sally meets her neighbor holding her kitten. He says, "I'll give your pet back only if you crack my riddle. I'm the last thing you take off when you go to bed. What am I?" Ready to hear the correct answer? I'm your feet, and you take them off the floor. Sally brings her kitten to the vet for a checkup. There, she meets two doctors, but only one of them is a real vet doctor. Can you spot who exactly? Real doctors usually wear gloves at work, but the guy on the left doesn't wear any, although he's holding a dog. Sally wants to get a job in a magic shop. The owner gives her a test assignment to find a love potion on this shelf. Sally is very confused because the recipes are too complicated. Luckily, Sally's possible future coworker, Glenda, agrees to give Sally a hint. She provides her with a bunch of recipes, and now Sally needs to figure out the correct one by herself. She only knows that a love potion should contain these 5 ingredients. Can you help her find the right bottle? Only the third bottle has all the required ingredients, so Sally should grab it. Sally succeeds and gets the job. Now her task is to go to the storage and find a fake mirror. Can you help her? Only the second mirror shows the correct reflection, so the remaining 2 are fake. Sally and Glenda get hungry and order some food. Their meals are almost identical, but in fact, they have 3 differences. Can you spot them? Here they are.
The town's modern art museum has just been robbed. A priceless painting from top-notch artist Floyd B. has gone missing overnight. The museum's manager called Detective Pressfield to help. As soon as he arrived at the museum, he asked to see the security footage of the previous night. He identified 3 suspicious individuals staring at the painting for longer than usual. The first person, wearing a blue jacket, entered through the museum's front entrance. The security camera caught her staring at the painting from several angles, like she was measuring it. The second person, wearing a red hat, left the museum through the side exit, which is pretty suspicious. And the last person, who was wearing a black face mask, spent a long time looking at the museum's ceiling, trying to identify where the security cameras were located. Take a look at the footage. Can you guess who's the most likely thief? It's the last person. I mean, he was wearing a mask and spent hours trying to identify the security cameras. After that, there was no footage anymore. So that probably means he was successful at leaving the museum with the priceless painting. Samantha and Joanna were stuck at Blue Ridge's airport security line. A security guard found both of them suspicious and asked them to wait while he analyzed the X-ray footage. Take a look at both women. Who do you think is really hiding something? Well, Samantha has a suspicious face, but she probably just wants to go to the bathroom or something. Now, Joanna is definitely hiding something under her skirt. If she had really been pregnant, she would have used the preferential line. And look how much she's sweating. She's probably nervous she'll get caught. Detective Sharon's office was called to investigate a series of mysterious break-ins happening in a fancy neighborhood. At each crime scene, the robber would leave the word "closer" sprayed in graffiti on a nearby wall. The first place to be robbed was Mrs. Moore's cafe. Then the criminal's next target was the town's library. After a week, The thief had left his mark in a fancy office building, a supermarket, and a restaurant. It took Detective Sharon a while, but she soon understood there was a pattern to the break-ins, and she was even able to predict what the next break-in would be. Can you figure out what it was? The thief was pretty clever for sure. The first letter of each of the locations the thief entered spelled out the word closer. Since the last location to be robbed was a restaurant, the next place would start with C, restarting the cycle. Most likely, the neighborhood's community center. In the East Valley, there's a beautiful old kingdom known as Piatra. One of the town's most precious symbols is a valuable jewel that is always displayed during the city's festivities. This year, during the last celebration, something tragic happened. The town's jewel went missing. The king was devastated and mad that such an ancient artifact had been stolen. He soon called the kingdom's official investigator to help figure out who had possibly stolen the jewel. The culprit would have to be proclaimed responsible for their theft in front of the entire kingdom. There were many people at the festivity, but the investigator narrowed the suspects down to 4 people. Amelia said she saw something strange after the bard's presentation. She saw that Benjamin had picked up the jewel and handed it to Carol. But Ben said he didn't go anywhere near the jewel because he had been working on one of the stalls during the fair. Carol said she did go near the jewel, but she had only admired it from up close. And Daniel said that he could swear seeing Carol carrying the jewel, but he didn't see her take it. Based on the testimonies, the investigator had no trouble figuring out who the culprit was. Can you figure it out as well? It was Carol. Almost everyone thought she was involved in the crime. And plus, if you zoom in on her bag, you'll see something pointing. Sure looks like a jewel, doesn't it? The town's only DVD rental shop suffered a robbery last night. The store's owner called the police station to report the crime. The detective almost couldn't believe what he was hearing. After all, why would someone steal a DVD when there are so many streaming channels nowadays? The detective asked to see the footage from the security camera and identified 3 main suspects. Sarah was a middle-aged woman. She said she still owned a DVD player and preferred to watch movies the old way, so she regularly rented from the store. Alex was a recently retired movie director, and one of his favorite pastimes was going to the store. He said he hadn't noticed anything strange the day before, except for a random teenager that walked inside. David was in his teens, and he spent hours in the shop by himself. He said he was doing research for school, but swears he didn't take anything. Can you tell who did it? It was David. The security footage caught him in the R-rated section of the store. He must have stolen the DVD, thinking the store owner wouldn't sell it to him. There's an old museum that only displays ancient Egyptian artifacts. One day, Susan, an anthropology student, went to the museum in order to study some of the art on display. She went into a room full of things, such as necklaces, bracelets, and earrings. She photographed every detail she thought was important for her research, when something caught her eye. Take a look at the image. Can you figure out what it was? Look at those earrings. They look completely fake. Plus, they have a tiny price tag attached to them. The original earrings were definitely missing. Susan reported the crime to the museum's manager. The manager immediately informed the museum security and opened an investigation. Susan was on the initial suspect list, but after checking the museum's security footage, she was let go. Museum security identified three main suspects: one of the museum's guards, one of the students from the museum's archaeology school, and a visitor. The visitor said he had only popped in for a quick visit. He said he had seen the earrings, but they looked pretty original to him. The security guard said he hadn't seen anything strange going the last few days. Everything was as it should be. And the students said they had studied the earring in a class, but they never got the chance to see it before it was stolen. Soon enough, museum security found the culprit. Can you tell who it was? It was the visitor. When security went to investigate the suspects, they never mentioned that the original earring had been exchanged by fake ones. The fact that he knew there was an original version means that he was the one that swapped them. Yikes. Maya was working on her latest artwork, which was commissioned by a high-end gallery in town. Suddenly, all the lights in her studio went out, and since it was nighttime, she was left completely in the dark. She heard footsteps approaching the studio door, and the next thing she knew, she was feeling dizzy. Maya passed out and woke up in a tiny room that had nothing other than a metallic door. She tried to open the door, but it was locked. That's when she noticed that beside the door, there was a little device where a red sign appeared asking for a password. Below the device, there was a piece of paper with the following hint: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It took a while for her to understand what this meant. She read the note aloud several times before she finally figured out what the password was. Can you guess what password she typed into the device? Here's how it works. Maya had to type 1 time the number 2, 3 times the number 4, 5 times the number 6, and 7 times the number 8. Reading it aloud was the key to solve this problem. Whew! Here's Hudson. He's a college teacher. It's the last day of the semester, so he has a bunch of paperwork in his office. Suddenly, someone turns off the electricity in the entire building. Hudson goes to the basement with generators. There he sees a turned-off switch and 3 people standing next to it. They all say they didn't touch anything, but one of them is lying. The janitor says, "The lights went out when I came here to clean up." Rebecca says, "I'm a new student. I got lost in the corridors and accidentally got here." And Nick says, "I'm a last-year graduate. I came here to find a toy owl, a souvenir I had hidden here many years ago." Who's lying? The janitor has a bucket and a mop, so he's not lying. There's a toy owl in the corner of the room, so Nick is telling the truth. Rebecca is lying. It's the end of the semester, so she can't be new at this time. One of Hudson's students, Paul, has a crush on another student named Liza. Once he got a note from her saying she liked him. So Paul decides to write her back and ask her out. Unfortunately, he doesn't remember which desk is Liza's. There are 2 possibilities. Can you guess which desk is the one he needs? If you remember, the note was written in green ink. There's a similar green pen lying on the desk on the right. So this is most likely Liza's desk. After classes, Hudson is leaving the building and faces a group of his students. They ask him to take their picture. Can you spot an odd detail in the resulting shot? This guy here has 3 hands. Liza and Paul are having fun outside during their winter break. Liza is learning how to skate on the lake, and Paul is skiing in the forest. Who's not smart? Liza. The ice on the lake is cracking, and there's no one around to help her. Unlucky Liza. Paul, meanwhile, returns to the dorm. He's starving, so he opens the fridge that he shares with his roommate Nick. Right away, Paul begins to yell at his roommate. "Nick, you stole my food again!" Nick replies, "You're a liar. I didn't." Paul says, "Well, I have proof. I took a picture of our fridge before leaving." Can you tell who's lying by just looking at these two images? Take a closer look. The shelves are signed. These two shelves are Nick's and the other two Paul's. These three items disappeared from Paul's shelves. This means that the liar is Nick, and it's time for a new roommate. Meanwhile, Liza and Paul are having a date tonight. Apparently, the lady on the lake survived the cracking ice. But Liza's dorm is situated on the opposite side of this maze. Can you help Paul pass through this labyrinth to meet his date? Here is the only way out. The college dean, Nina, hires a handyman to transform the area around the campus. That's what she says. Your task is to put 7 benches. I will triple your paycheck if you find a way to put exactly 6 rows of benches in a straight line. Also, each row should have 3 benches in particular. Can you help the handyman accomplish this task? He should put 3 benches as the vertices of an equal triangle. 3 more benches should be put at the center of each side of triangle. And the last bench should be at the center. The handyman gets to work and goes to the storage room to grab some tools. Can you find 2 identical items? Hey, here they are. The handyman is bored, so he starts a quiz game. He keeps asking the same question to every student he meets, but each time the answer is different. Can you guess the question? The handyman's question is, "How are you doing?" Hudson's teenage daughter, Jill, failed a test. So he makes her stay at home and study instead of going to a friend's birthday party. Meanwhile, Nina's teenage daughter, Jules, got sick. So she spends the entire day in her bedroom instead of going to the movies. Both daughters come down to dinner at 7 o'clock. Which parent was deceived? Nina. Take a look at the window. It's raining heavily. Jules has wet hair and dirty water on the edges of her jeans. It means she was outside. Uh-oh, liar. The next morning, Hudson and Nina both wake up earlier to prepare breakfast for their families. Nina is making sandwiches. Meanwhile, Hudson is making eggs with bacon. Who's wrong? Hudson. Oops, he forgot to turn on the stove. Hudson is walking to work through his favorite park and sees this scene. Can you spot what's wrong in this picture? There are 2 suns in the sky. Uh-oh, Tatooine. Hudson arrives at his class and starts with a witty riddle. Can you tell me which part of London exists in France as well? The correct answer is the letter N. A huge drama is taking place in a diner next to the college campus. The owner of this place screams, "Where's my money? It's 30 minutes till the end of the working day." But there's no money in the cash register. 3 employees have been working today, but they swear that they haven't touched the money. They say there have been no customers today. The boss doesn't believe them. He studies the employees, trying to spot the thief. Liza is wearing a pair of stylish sunglasses and brandy clothes. Mike is also wearing some costly designer clothes and an expensive phone. Robin is wearing a regular dress and fake jewelry. Who took the money? Nobody. Take a look at the sign on the door. It says "Open." That means that people on the street saw the closed sign on the other side. That's why nobody entered, and the cash register remained empty. Hudson finds a secret hallway in the basement of the college building. He decides to explore it and finds an old treasure chest. But as soon as he touches it, 3 zombie pirates come out and grab him. One of them says, "Hey, we've been protecting this gold for 500 years. You can't take it." Hudson notices that something's wrong with these guys. Can you figure out what exactly? Well, they seem fake. This zombie is wearing sneakers. The second one has a phone in his pocket. And the third zombie has a price tag attached to his saber. Ah, busted! Molly is very nervous. She met a great guy online, and today they're having their first offline date. They have never seen the pictures of each other. Their date will take place in an old part of the campus at night. Molly arrives at the meeting point and sees 2 guys. The first one says, "It's a weird place for a date, but I'm glad to see you." And the second guy says, "It's me. I couldn't wait to see you. You're even more pretty than your photos." One of them is Molly's date, while the other one, a dangerous criminal. Can you guess who is who? It's the second guy who is dangerous. He mentioned photos, but Molly didn't send her online crush any pictures of herself. Therefore, the first guy is her date. Molly and her date want to go to a local nightclub, but the guard can't let them in without a password. He gives the guys a hint. "The more places I go, the less you can see. Who am I?" Darkness is the password. It's a beautiful weekend day. Nina is working in her garden. Suddenly, someone attacks her from behind and she faints. Later that day, she gets better and talks to the police. Nina suspects one of her neighbors. Some of them don't really like her. Officers question 3 suspects. Bill says, "I've been planting trees with my daughter all day long." Sabrina says, "I was just peacefully watering my gorgeous flowers and continue to do so." Luke says, "I rarely leave my house, so I don't even know this woman." Who's suspicious? Sabrina's garden hose isn't even connected to the water source. It's just lying on the ground. Therefore, her story is fake.
You board a small plane. Nice. You're the only passenger on board. In a few hours, you'll be sunbathing on the beach, sipping something cold and refreshing. But before that happens, you'll face an epic test to see if you've got the kind of survival skills you need to survive in the wild. Count up your right answers and see what it all means at the end of the video. You fasten your seatbelt and fall asleep just before takeoff. Suddenly, turbulence. You wake up from a dream where you were an octopus in an earthquake. The plane's shaking, your luggage falls out of the overhead. This is serious. You strap on an oxygen mask and notice a flash of lightning outside. A second later, you see another flash. But this time, it's your plane's engine. It's on fire. You're falling. The screeching of ripped metal, screams, and then darkness. You pass out. After a few seconds, you open your eyes and find yourself falling from the sky. Okay, get it together. You unfasten yourself from the chair to stop spinning. The first rays of sun appear over the horizon, and down below, you see a dense forest, a green field, and a small pond. By stretching out your body, you can change direction, you can steer. So, where are you going to land or crash? You have 3 seconds to decide. The best answer is the forest. A fall into water from that high up would hurt the same as falling flat on the ground. But tree branches can soften a fall. You plummet into the forest and lose consciousness. Day 1. Awake. Your whole body aches. Fortunately, you're not injured and you can even walk. Those branches saved your life. Yeah, this is a fairy tale. Now, where to? You don't have a map or a compass. Then suddenly, you hear the sound of a river. You need to choose a direction. Here are the options. Walk in a straight line. Find some moss on a tree and walk in the direction it's growing. Find the river and walk along it. You have 10 seconds to choose. Don't go straight if you don't want to get lost and walk in circles. Navigating by moss? Yeah, I just made that up to mess with you. You should go along the river. It'll lead to a pond or a lake, and there might be people there, or a road, or some signs at least. Day 2. You make it to a lake, but there's no sign of civilization. Now what? Maybe head back up the river? Along the way, you pass out again. You wake up and it's cold, so you drink some river water and try to make a fire. You collect dry twigs, brushwood, birch bark, and moss. Oh, sweet! A gas lighter and a piece of paper in your pocket. What's the best way to start a fire? Put the branches in a pile and pour gasoline on them? Put pieces of paper in the branches and fire them up. Make the branches into a triangle, place birch bark under, and light it. You have 7 seconds, and it's getting really cold. Don't pour that precious gasoline on the branches. It'll burn out too quickly, and those fumes are bad for you. The paper will burn off too fast, and the wood won't catch fire. The triangle of wood will let air pass through it. That's the key. Fire and air, a match made in heaven. Get it? Match? Okay. Day 3. You finally get warm, drink some water, and continue along the river. Uh-oh, you haven't eaten anything for 3 days. Gotta get on it. You don't know how to fish, so you go into the forest to find some food. You have a few choices. Berries, they look delicious and seem pretty juicy. Ants, mushrooms. You have 7 seconds. Choose wisely. Ants are the most delicious and safe thing around. You just can't eat random berries or mushrooms. They can be poisonous. Now, how do you get those ants to march right into your mouth? Hey, I can't hand you all the answers. Day 4. A big bear's blocking your path. You shout to scare it away, but it just looks at you. It's not happy. And now it's coming your way. What should you do? Run as fast as possible, because bears are big and clumsy. Climb the nearest tree and sit up there till the bear goes away. Lie down in a fetal position and stay absolutely still. You have 5 seconds to make a choice, and it better be the right one. Bears are fast and can climb trees like they're oversized squirrels. The right decision is to pretend to be asleep. The bear will see that you're not a threat and probably will pass you by. Day 5. Heavy rain starts to fall. You need to hide under a tree, build shelter, and make another fire. Which of these 3 trees should you hide under? You have 7 seconds before you're soaked to the bone. The tree on the left is rotten and might crumble at any moment. There's a snake crawling in the tree on the right. Venomous or not, it's not worth the risk. The tree in the middle is perfect. Day 6. Your stomach starts to rumble. Those ants weren't exactly filling. You decide to catch a fish at all costs. Aha! You could use a piece of your clothing as bait. But where can you find a fishing rope? You have 10 seconds for this one. The answer is your shoelaces. They should be enough if you tie them together. After a long day of fishing, you finally catch one. Aha! Sushi! Day 7. Your journey along the river continues. Up ahead, you see that the river splits into 2 smaller streams. Decision time, left or right. This could mean life or not. You have 7 seconds to decide your fate. Definitely the right stream. There are wolf tracks by the left stream. A pack of hungry wild animals? Yeah, no thanks. Day 8. No way, you're saved! In the distance, you can just make out the roof of a big house. You run over and tragedy. The house is totally abandoned and almost destroyed. But you still decide to go in. In the hallway, you see 3 doors. There's a sign with snakes and spiders on the first door. The second door also has a sign, a pit with spears at the bottom. The third door has a lightning bolt sign on it, probably some high voltage stuff going on in there. Which room should you choose? I'll give you 10 seconds for this one. Go for the third door. The house is abandoned, so the power's probably been out for years. You decide to stay the night, rest, and move on in the morning, even though it's super creepy. Day 9. Time to hit the road again. In the house, you find a piece of broken mirror and grab it just in case. You've been walking for hours, but the river doesn't seem to be leading anywhere. Then you hear the most magical sound. You look up. A helicopter! You need them to see you, but there's no time to start a fire. What can you do? The helicopter's about to fly off. 5 seconds, quick! Grab that piece of mirror. You can reflect the sun off it and try and direct the light at the helicopter. Yeah, you've been spotted, but you can't be saved. No. Thunderclouds come out of nowhere and force the helicopter to fly away. Your best bet? Stay right where you are. That helicopter will come back for you tomorrow, hopefully. Day 10. You wake up in a good mood. The rescuers will be here soon. You take off your shoes to wash your feet in the river. Then, a not-so-magical sound. You hear a growl. 2 wolves are staring down their noses at you. You start running in a total panic. The wolves start to chase you. They're catching up. There are 3 paths up ahead. The first road is covered in hot coals. The second one is littered with rusty nails. The third has broken glass all over it. Which path are you going to choose? You have 2 seconds. The wolves are coming right up behind you. Your best bet is the hot coals. You're running, which means you won't have time to feel any pain. It might get a little hot, but your feet will be safe. The wolves don't dare run through the coals, but they stay nearby. Great, now the rescuers won't know where to find you. Wait a minute, how did these 3 paths appear in the forest anyway? People made them. You're on the right path. Civilization is near. Yeah, food, water, Wi-Fi. Day 11. The helicopter appears in the sky again. You whip out your mirror and go to town. The helicopter starts to fly down, but it can't land on your side of the river. The forest is too dense. The rescuers are waiting for you on the other side. Quick! 3 logs lie across the water. Which one's safe to run across? You have 10 seconds, so think carefully. The first log looks old. The river might carry it away at any moment. The third log, well, it's a crocodile. You need to cross the river on the second log. You're saved! Next up, a cool ocean breeze. But what you don't know yet is that there's one more test. You'll be swept far out into the ocean after you accidentally fall asleep on a little boat you rented. But that's another story. Now, let's check out how well you did. 0 to 4 points? You better not go camping without an experienced guide. Hey, don't worry, survival in the wild isn't for everyone. 5 to 9 points? Not bad. If you get lost in the forest, you won't panic. But things might get a bit hairy if you have to stay out there for more than a couple of days. 10 to 12 points. Wildlife is your second home. If things get really bad, you could just camp out in the woods forever. Hey, just never mind that part about falling out of the plane without a parachute. Okay, you ready? Oliver was walking near the river in the evening when a group of people dressed in black caught him. All of them were wearing masks. Their leader offered Oliver 3 options. They could throw the guy into the sea with hungry piranhas, he could choose to end up in the ocean swarming with sharks, or he could opt for a river with hippos. What should Oliver choose to survive? Piranhas only live in freshwater. The guy should pick the sea with the piranhas. An expedition set up camp in the middle of a desert. They were planning to spend several days in that place. But when they woke up, their truck had disappeared. Luckily, they had enough food to last a week, but no power and little water. But there was more to come. 3 days later, one of the team members disappeared. The leader of the expedition questioned the remaining people. Michael said he had been wandering around, trying to find water. Emily said she had been playing games on her smartphone. Evelyn claimed they had been sleeping all day long to save energy. And Henry said he had been preparing his research paper in his tent. Now, who's lying? Emily. In 3 days, her phone would have already run out of battery. There are 100 books on a shelf. To count off 10 of them, you'll need 10 seconds. How much time you'll spend counting off 70 books? It will take you 30 seconds. You'll need this time to count off 30 books, and the remaining ones will add up to 70. Sophia's sister, Chloe, visited her on Saturday. The women had a meal and talked about their lives. Chloe had been promoted. Her husband had recently presented her a diamond ring, and they were going to have a vacation in Hawaii. Chloe didn't have such amazing news. She only listened to her sister and complained about life. Right after lunch, Chloe felt unwell. She paled and lost consciousness. Sophia called an ambulance. They rushed Chloe to a hospital and hardly had enough time to save her life. It turned out the woman had been poisoned. The police came to Sophia to ask her a couple of questions. She was shocked. "We ate the same food. I cooked chicken and made a vegetable salad. Nothing exotic." After examining the food, the police officers arrested Sophia for trying to poison her sister. But how did she do it? The poison was in the bottle with the salad dressing. Chloe added some vinaigrette to her dish, while Sophia didn't touch the bottle. The moral? Stop complaining so much. A small cafe in Boston is called 9 Lanterns, but there are only 7 lanterns hanging outside. The owner knows about this mistake and can easily correct it, but he doesn't. Why? When the wind took away 2 lanterns some time ago, the man wanted to replace them. But before he could do it, he noticed that more people started to come into his cafe. They told him 2 lanterns were missing, and then stayed to drink coffee. Jackson came to visit his friend Aiden, who he hadn't seen in ages. They had a great time, gossiping and drinking tea. But Jackson had completely forgotten Aiden had one quirk. He loved making up riddles and never let anyone leave his house without cracking one or two of his newest ones. This time, his question was, "What do you swallow that can swallow you?" Can you help Jackson get home? Hey, it's already late. The answer is water. Jackson was smart enough to know he won't be able to leave Aiden's house after just one riddle. True to his expectations, another riddle was waiting for him. What is lower with a head on top than without it? Jackson took his sweet time, but eventually he realized the right answer was a pillow. Could he go home now? Apparently not yet, but Aiden promised it would be the last riddle for the evening. He told his friend, Hannah's birthday is on January 23rd, but she always celebrates it in the summer. Why? Luckily, Jackson had just returned from his trip to Australia. He immediately realized that Hannah lived in the southern hemisphere. There, January is the hottest month of the year. Students knew they would have an exam on Friday, but their strict professor didn't tell them the exact time. When one guy gathered enough courage to ask about it, he got a weird reply. If 11 plus 2 equals 1, 10 plus 6 equals 4. If you manage to figure out the answer, you won't miss the exam. Do you know when the students should meet with their professor? At 4 p.m. 11 o'clock plus 2 hours is 1 p.m. Then 10 o'clock and 6 hours is 4 p.m. James called his wife Mia and told her he would be at home by 8 o'clock. They didn't plan anything special for that evening, but when he arrived at 2 minutes past 8, the woman was furious. Why was she so angry? Mia thought her husband would come home by 8 p.m., but he appeared at 8:02 a.m. the next morning. Uh-oh. Look at these two ladies. They both seem to be filthy rich, but only one of them actually is. Can you figure out who's fake rich? It's the girl on the left. She's taking a photo with a luxury car in the background. But there's someone in the driver's seat, and this person looks rather shocked. One elderly man could only use a public telephone to make his calls. Once the phone stopped working, the man informed the phone company. He waited and waited, but no one came to fix the phone. Several days later, the man visited the company again and said something. The day after, the phone was working again. What did the man say? He said people use the phone to make calls without paying. Look at this picture attentively. What's wrong with it? The pitcher the woman is holding is empty. Then where's the milk coming from? Mark has always been jealous of his friend Liam's achievements. This week, they're both taking part in a battle of wits. Mark decides to do everything possible to win this time. And the first task is to guess the word. It has 7 letters and it is very heavy. But if Mark takes away 2 letters, he'll get 8. If he takes away 1 letter, he'll get 80. What word is it? The first riddle is a success. Mark finds the right word. It's weighty. The next question is even trickier. A man went around the world in a ship, and still he was always inside of land. How is it possible? It doesn't take Mark long to figure out the man was in a spaceship orbiting Earth. The next thing Mark knows, he's locked in a room. Wow. There are 4 doors there. He's entered through one of them, and he can't use it again. The first door leads to the room with high-voltage wires hanging above the wet floor. Behind the second door, there's a water-filled room swarming with piranhas. And the third door hides a room where acid, flesh-melting rain is falling from the ceiling. Which door is more or less safe to enter? Mark opted for the first door and didn't regret it. It was safe because he didn't let his body come into contact with the wires and the wet floor at the same time. It turned out the next task was the last one in this competition. Mark was looking forward to finding out the winner, but first he had to do some brain work. The world's tallest tower is finally finished. It took 5 years to build it. Every next year, the construction doubled in height. How many years did it take the tower to reach half its current height? Four years. If the tower grew twice taller every year, it had to be half of its final height a year before it was completed. And if you're wondering about the results of the competition, it ended in a tie. Duh. Luna has 2 friends, Jack and Owen. On her birthday, the girl wants to go to the movies with the guys, but they don't know each other and Luna's worried they might feel uncomfortable. But there's also another problem. She spent way too much money this month. But if she invites the guys, she's going to pay. Now, she's trying to understand what is cheaper, to invite both guys at the same time or go to the movies with each of them in turn. Can you help Luna? It'll cost the girl less to invite her 2 friends at the same time. This way, she'll only have to buy 3 tickets. If she goes with each of them, she'll pay for 4 tickets. It was a sunny summer day without a single cloud in the sky. The ship was in the harbor. There were many people on the shore. They gathered there to look at the vessel. Suddenly, the ship started to sink. There was nothing wrong with it, and all of its systems were functioning correctly. The weather was fine and the sea was calm, but the ship still disappeared in the blink of an eye. What happened? Well, nothing unexpected. Submarines are supposed to travel underwater. Now, Bella and Ella are preparing for an epic party. Can you figure out who's not very smart? Even though Bella looks as if she's about to touch a hot iron, the device is actually unplugged, so she probably won't burn herself. Meanwhile, Ella is about to touch a heated waffle. Bella and Ella text their friend named Mike, who never answers any questions directly. They invite him to go to a party together. Mike's answer is kinda weird. Sorry, no money, job and job. Now, can you help the ladies crack Mike's message? Mike said he had no money because he was in between jobs. Bella and Ella arrive at the nightclub and see a huge line at the entrance. The local guard, Greg, checks people's ID cards. His task is not to let in suspicious people and folks under 21 years old. Here's the first guest's ID card. What do you think? Can you help Greg decide if he can let this visitor in?
She seems fine. Let her in.
Yes!
Here's the next guest. What do you say? June 31 doesn't exist. There are only 30 days in June, so no entry, buddy. Oh, no. Now what about this guy? Something's wrong with his birth date as well. There was no February 29 in 1977. That wasn't a leap year. And what about this lady's ID? Yep, she's good to go.
Okay.
Here's another candidate. What do you say? Well, he's 22, so he seems fine. Finally, Bella and Ella enter the club building, but they take a wrong turn and get lost. Finally, they enter an old-fashioned two-story hallway with a beautiful fountain in the middle of the room. That's when Bella and Ella realize that they are not alone. There are many ghosts here. Can you figure out the exact number? There are 7 ghosts in this space. One of the ghosts is hiding inside the fountain. And the lady over there is not a ghost. She's standing on her feet and she's sweating. So she's very much alive. The lady is the owner of the property. She says, "To get out of this place, you have to crack the following puzzle. Can you help Bella and Ella figure out what number is hiding under the question mark?" It's 1. 5 equals 1 because 1 equals 5. That was mentioned earlier in the equation. Bella and Ella are very hungry. Finally, they get to the party and see 2 tables with snacks. Although they look identical, there are 5 differences between them. Can you spot those details? Feel free to pause the video if you need more time. Here they are. Bella and Ella take a couple of selfies at the party. Can you spot 3 differences between these pictures? Ah, 1, 2, and 3. Bella goes to the dance floor, and Ella stays on the sofa. After a while, Bella returns and finds no Ella, only a creepy note on the sofa. "We have imprisoned your friend in the middle of this labyrinth. Go save her before it's too late." Bella approaches the labyrinth entrance. She's worried that once she walks in, she won't be able to find her way out.
Oh my god.
How can she escape the labyrinth without getting lost and wasting too much time? She should put her right hand on the right wall and go forward, touching it at all times. She'll be walking into traps along the way. But if Bella follows the right wall, she'll get out of traps and will eventually find her way out of the labyrinth. Let's take a look at this labyrinth from above. Can you help Bella find the correct path? Here's the only route leading to the final destination. Bella manages to find Ella in the center of the maze. Suddenly, a secret door opens, and a creepy voice announces, "You can use this elevator to leave, but first, you have to enter a 4-number passcode to turn it on." Can you help the ladies crack the code? Take a look at the 4 symbols on the elevator. It's a hint. Each image implies a number. The word crown consists of 5 words, so it implies 5. Necklace implies 8, ring 4, and diamond 7. And the code is 5847.
Oh.
Bella and Ella want to return to the party, but they face a guard who says, "You'll have to crack my riddle if you want to come in." What is that thing that you have to break before you can use it? The ladies crack this mystery right away. What about you? The correct answer is an A.
Yes!
Bella and Ella are walking down the corridor. They face a locked door. There are 5 buttons on the door, but only one of them will let Bella and Ella pass. If they choose the wrong one, the door will get blocked forever. Can you help them choose the correct button? There's something special about almost all these buttons. The first one is unlike the others because it doesn't have an outline. The second one has a different shape. The third one has a different color. And the last one is smaller than all the others. The fourth button doesn't have any distinctions. That's what makes it so special. So Bella and Ella should press this one. Yay! The party goes on. 3 guys approach Ella and invite her to the dance floor. But only one of them is safe to dance with. Can you decide who? The first guy has too many spikes on his clothes. He might accidentally scratch Ella. And the second guy is a sorcerer. He has a love potion in his pocket, so he can't be trusted either. Therefore, Ella should pick the third guy. Bella takes a picture of Ella on the dance floor. She freaks out right away.
Oh my god.
Why? There's a skeleton among the dancing people. Ella gets very thirsty after dancing and approaches a waiter. He offers her an infinite supply of free drinks if she can crack his riddle. "I'll give you 1 glass of milk and 1 glass of water. You'll need to pour the 2 liquids into a bowl, but you should be able to separate the milk from the water later. You can't use any kind of dividers." It took Ella a while, but she cracked this riddle. What did she do? She poured all the water into a bowl and froze it. After that, she added the milk.
Oh.
Finally, Bella and Ella leave the party and enter a supermarket to grab some snacks. They see 2 ladies. One of them is married to their friend Mike. Can you guess who? It's the lady on the left. Her shopping cart contains shampoo for men's hair and beard. Bella, Ella, and their common friends, Nick, Nancy, and Adam, are hanging out at Mike's place. The next morning, they find Mike unconscious in the living room. None of the 5 friends know what happened to him. The police show up and they find a note next to Mike's calendar. It reads 4, 12, 8, and 3. The detective already knows who attacked Mike. What about you? It was Adam. The note was next to a calendar. 4 implies April, 12 implies December, 8 August, and 3 March. Take the first 3 letters of each month, and you get the name Adam. The next day, Bella and Ella go skydiving. Oh no, Bella's parachute hasn't opened, and she's now plunging toward the ground. There are 2 places where she can land. Bella can either fall into the lake or into this large haystack. Can you help her choose the best option? Bella should try to fall on the hay. Can you see those creepy crocodiles hiding near the lake? Bella manages to land safely. She meets Ella and they go camping. Unfortunately, Ella gets bitten by a snake, and Bella is trying to suck the venom out of her leg. Mike is also on the trip. Suddenly, he spots a Black Widow spider on his arm. Who's in a bigger danger, Bella or Mike? Bella. If she has any scratches in her mouth, the venom will get inside her bloodstream. As for Mike, Black Widows rarely bite people, and the bites are rarely fatal.
Serena is a private investigator. This year, she decided to spend her vacation at a fancy ski resort. Serena arrives at the main gates and takes a look at the entrance. Then, she turns around to tip her taxi driver. After that, she returns to the gates and spots 3 changes. Can you also see them? Here they are. Serena enters the hotel. 3 porters offer to carry her bags, but one of them cannot help Serena with her luggage. Can you guess who and why? The guy in the middle has transparent hands that go through the walls. He's a ghost, so it's unlikely he'll be able to carry Serena's physical baggage. Serena approaches the reception desk. She's checking in along with 3 other people.
Hello.
Serena takes a look at her passports and immediately spots the fake one. What about you? The second guy's picture is black and white, but it's not a crime. The third lady's document also looks fine, but the picture of the first lady has snow-capped mountains in the background. No matter what country she's from, the background in the passport photo should be plain, so this ID is fake. Finally, Serena receives a key card for her room. She goes there right away, but unfortunately, the door doesn't open. Serena returns to the reception to complain. She sees another lady complaining about the very same thing. Can you guess what's going on here? Remember the room number on Serena's key? It's 981. If we turn this number upside down, we'll get 186. The manager confused these 2 keys. The ladies should simply exchange the keys, and the incident will be over.
Okay.
Finally, Serena enters her fancy suite. She takes a couple of pictures to send them to her friend. Can you find 10 differences between them? Feel free to stop the video if you need more time. Are you ready to see the answers? Here are all 10 differences. Serena unpacked her bags to go skiing. Oh no, she forgot her hat at home. Serena goes to the local winter sports store to purchase a new hat. Which items don't belong here? This toy robot, high heel sandals, and a plastic pyramid shouldn't be here. After shopping, Serena decides to visit the local bakery. Can you spot any extra items here? This can of pet food and a dog bowl doesn't belong here, as well as this cat tree. Finally, Serena is in her ski suit. She's riding in a cable car to the top of the mountain with other resort guests. Can you spot the one who hasn't paid for the lift? I bet this little mouse didn't pay for the ride. The fire alarm wakes Serena up in the middle of the night. One of the cottages on the territory of the ski resort caught fire.
Oh no.
Luckily, all the guests and staff members are safe. Serena finds 3 suspects. One of these people started the fire for sure. Can you guess who? It's the guy in the bathrobe. He's hiding a bottle of fire starter liquid in his pocket.
Oh my god.
In the morning, Serena goes to the breakfast buffet. There are 4 croissants on the tray. One of them is made of plastic.
Oh.
Can you spot which one? Someone has bitten off the first croissant, so it's probably real. The third croissant was a little burnt, so it's real dough. Take a closer look at the 4th croissant. Some chocolate leaked out of it onto the plate, so it must be real too. Therefore, only the 2nd croissant can be plastic.
Oh.
Serena starts her breakfast. A young lady named Maya is eating with her husband, not far from Serena's table. Suddenly, Maya gets sick and faints.
Oh my God.
Her husband calls doctors and they arrive immediately. They conclude that Maya has eaten something poisonous. The husband says, "It's impossible. My wife didn't eat or drink anything today except for the breakfast on this table. I ate it too, and I feel fine." The doctors test the food, and surprisingly, it's perfectly fine.
Oh.
Serena has already cracked this mystery. What about you? The poison was in Maya's lip balm. Serena suspects that Maya's husband poisoned her, so she decides to follow him to find some evidence. He enters his hotel room for a moment and then leaves. Serena sneaks into the room. She finds nothing suspicious except a hotel notebook. Someone tore out exactly 1 page from it. Fortunately, the writer pressed the pen very hard and left traces on the next page. Serena shades the paper with a pencil and reveals the following text. Can you help her decode this message? If we read this text backwards, we'll get Maya is in the hospital. Finish the job.
Oh my god.
Serena rushes to the hospital to get ahead of the criminal. She enters Maya's room and faces 4 clowns. One of them is the criminal, and the rest are just actors who perform all over the hospital to uplift the patients. Can you spot the imposter? The guy with the red bow is the criminal. He sneaked it from the decorations in this room because he was rushing to disguise himself.
Oh.
Serena calls the hospital guards to arrest the imposter, but he pushes everyone away and escapes through the back door. Serena follows him and ends up in the parking lot. The criminal is hiding in one of these cars.
Come to me.
Can you find him? These 3 single cars seem empty and they don't have any signs of break-in. Meanwhile, someone is moving in the back of this pickup truck. Busted! The police arrest the criminal and Maya's husband. Meanwhile, Serena returns to the hotel late at night to get some rest. Oh no! Her room is a mess! Someone clearly rummaged through her things.
What's this?
In the morning, Serena questions 3 suspects. The cleaning lady says, "Yesterday afternoon, I changed your bed sheets, washed coffee stains off the carpet, and left." The manager says, "I sent a repairman to fix the sink in your bathroom, but I myself didn't enter." The repairman says, "Last night I visited your room to fix the sink. Your stuff was all over the place, but I just thought you were a messy person." Who's lying? The cleaning lady. She said she had removed the coffee stains from the carpet, but they're still here. Serena lands on a chair in the hotel lounge to sign a stack of postcards for her friends. Suddenly, she smells hot chocolate from the cafeteria. She goes there to order a cup for herself. In a couple of minutes, Serena returns to her chair. Oh no! The postcards are gone. She questions 3 people nearby. Mike says, I was reading a book all the time, so I didn't look around. Richard says, I was taking pictures of my girlfriend Stella. You can take a look if you don't believe me. And Stella says,
Richard is telling the truth. I was posing for the camera. Why would I pay attention to your stuff?
after hearing their stories, Serena knows for sure who's guilty. What about you? Take a closer look at Richard's pictures. Stella is in front of a fireplace. If we zoom in, we'll see the postcards in the fire. These liars use them to make the flame burn brighter and look better in the pictures.
What?
Richard apologizes and buys a new stack of postcards for Serena. She grabs one of them and writes the following rebus on it. Can you crack the meaning of this message? To infinity and beyond. Serena is having small talk with Mike. She asks about his hobbies. Instead of answering, Mike draws the following rebus. Can you crack it? He likes to swim underwater. Serena says, I see you like puzzles. Crack my riddle, and I'll get you a huge cup of hot chocolate. Mike agrees. Here's the riddle. The task is to replace the question mark with the correct letter. The letters imply the last letter of the sum of these numbers. 3 times 6 is 18, so the answer is N. 3 times 7 is 21, so the answer is E. And so on. 3 times 0 is 0. That's why we should replace the question mark with 0.